My name is Gabriel Felbermayr. I'm an Austrian citizen who worked for a long time in Germany in various think tanks, and I'm now the director of the Austrian Institute of Economic Research. I've been in Abu Dhabi for a couple of times. I've been at the Marrakesh event years ago, and I always go home with a lot of inspiration. A lot of food for thought is served at this conference. I always go home with a lot of new contacts, and so I love it, and I like to come back. We were way too optimistic for growth in Europe, and in particular for the German and Austrian economies. So that marked me because it's a little bit of a failure story. And that the learning of it is that we underestimated the structural challenges that we're facing. And this is a European situation. Out of Europe, our forecast was quite okay, right? So there's a professional impression. But then we look at the big political stage. Of course, 24 was the year of these many elections, including, of course, the American election. And certainly this will mark the next 4 years and therefore the next editions of the World Policy Conference and of my personal work. Well, maybe it's not more difficult if you got the assumptions right. The models work all fine. It's not that we miscalculated, but the psychological hit that the big inflation surge brought about in countries that had no inflation or no sizable inflation for 50 years or so, like the old Mark block, Deutschmark block in Germany, and then all of a sudden inflation rates above 10%. That did lead to a lot of trust being lost, to a lot of confidence lost. And that's why consumption is very weak, and we did underestimate that. And of course, with weak consumption, recoveries don't happen. And so this is what happened. In a sense, we missed the psychological element of it, and that's at least for me, the year 24 carries this insight. Never underestimate that factor again. Yeah, like always, there's facets or different versions of the same story. So it is, of course, true that in relative terms, other places in the world are growing faster, but they are growing from low levels. We shouldn't forget China, for example, has a GDP per capita that is of the size of Bulgaria. Bulgaria is growing faster than Germany and France, because it starts from a lower level. So some of the European disillusionment or the European fear of decline, I think, is contaminated by the fact that we disregard the big status that we have. We forget about the level in which we are. And the second thing that is very dear to my heart, if we look internationally, the European Union together is still at an equal footing with the United States of America and with China. And that's sometimes a little bit better. We go above or we go below, but broadly speaking, this has been the case and has been quite stable actually for many years. So the big lesson, once again, I think it's an old one, but if the Europeans stick together, if we're ready to cooperate, if we invest in our single market, we have the size and the impact to influence things at the world stage, and I'm optimistic that this can remain so. We need to do the right things, right? So if you look around, if you look at the upcoming German elections in February, and my own country had the elections in September. It's very unclear what the government should look like. And then, of course, France, which maybe shows, unfortunately, the way, that there are no clear majorities anymore. In Germany, we fear something else, something similar happening. In many other EU countries, we have this too. So there are huge challenges. Of course, we need to act and we need to reform. We need to do what Enrico Letta and Mario Draghi recommend. I mean, we know what is to be done, and Europe, I think, has a good future, and we can be rationally optimistic if we do what's needed. No? If we lean back and say it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's risky, each reform carries risk, then I fear we would be in worse shape in 10, 20 years ahead. But we know the good thing is we know what is to be done, and so let's focus on getting the single market dynamic again.